With the selection of a jury in the Sean Diddy Combs case almost complete, prosecutors are preparing for opening arguments on Monday. But they admit there's a snag. One of their key witnesses against the rapper appears to have gone missing. This comes as we learn that Combs' ex-girlfriend, who was seen on video being assaulted by the rapper, is pregnant.
Today, we're covering what might be the biggest bombshell yet in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Just as jury selection is wrapping up and opening arguments are set to begin Monday, prosecutors have admitted they've lost track of a key witness.
Sean Diddy Combs' trial backing out? Victim number 3, as she's called, was set to testify against the music mogul. The name of victim number 3 was going to be revealed when she took the stand, but the woman has apparently gone missing, and prosecutors say they've been unable to reach her.
People just get nervous, and this person could just be nervous and just has had second thoughts.
If the prosecutor can't find this witness, how might it affect the case?
Look, I don't think it's going to have a tremendous effect. The prosecution is going to call a number of alleged victims. So look, this is just one less.
Someone else is also getting cold feet. A juror sent an email to the judge asking to be removed from the panel for issues of personal well-being.
That's right. Victim 3, one of the most crucial witnesses against the music mogul, has completely vanished. This isn't just any witness, folks. According to court documents, this individual was expected to provide testimony that could potentially seal Diddy's fate. Their sudden disappearance raises serious questions. Did they get cold feet? Were they intimidated? Or is something more sinister at play? What makes this even more shocking is that it comes just as we've learned Diddy's ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, who was captured on hotel surveillance video being physically assaulted by the rapper, is pregnant.
Building a case against someone as high profile as Diddy is not an easy job. So I'm going to bring in former FBI agent Bobby Chacon to talk more about this. So off the bat, Bobby, how do you build a case against a celebrity as well-resourced and powerful as Diddy?
Well, it takes a lot, Sylvia, as you know, because the allegations in this case range from like 2004 to 2024. So this is going to be going on for 20 years, and they're finally getting around to charging him now and trying now. That's because it's so difficult to get people who are not afraid to come forward. This person was powerful. They were rich. They had a lot of influence. They were allegedly violent. So all of those things add up to making it very difficult for investigators to get people to talk to them about these. You add in the fact that many of these things are embarrassing. They're of a sexual nature. They're private. They take place behind closed doors. And that adds to the reticence of witnesses coming forward and talking about these things. And so investigators have to do a lot of long, hard work in getting these witnesses to trust them, number one, to make sure they feel like they are being treated, not as a pawn in a game to get Diddy, but as people that really care, that the prosecution cares about these people. And so you bring in victim witness people who are trained really and have the background in talking to people who are maybe victims of alleged sexual violence. And so you bring in specialists that kind of can talk to people like that and get them to open up about these things and to trust the investigators and trust the prosecutors, that they're just not going to be thrust into a situation. You have to get them to trust you so that if someone does make a threat, even if it's veiled, people can do that on social media now. They can say things that are kind of a little bit wonky sometimes, or these veiled threats. So if the witnesses that you're developing are comfortable enough with you, they will bring those threats to you, or those situations where they might feel threatened. You always have on the federal level, we have the witness protection program, right, which is run by the U.S. Marshal Service. That's kind of a very extreme step, because that's somebody you change their identity, you move them to another part of the country. They're not allowed any contact with previous people in their lives. So it's the witness protection program is one of the more extreme steps that you take. But there are other steps you can take to ensure the witness that they're not going to be subject to that. If anyone does make a statement that's even considered something like that, you send a team to go out and investigate and to question that person and to get them to maybe make a retraction or to kind of back off a little bit. So you do have to do a good job at making sure the witnesses are comfortable that if anything should happen that they feel uncomfortable about, they bring it to you, and then you have to address it in the ways that are available to you.
She's still expected to testify under her real name, and legal experts are suggesting her pregnancy could make her appear more sympathetic to jurors. But that's just the beginning. While this criminal trial moves forward, we've just learned that attorney Andrew Van Arsdale, who's already representing 37 civil plaintiffs against Diddy.
Well, I mean, on the surface, if the prosecutor's claims are true, this seems like pretty much textbook witness tampering, right? I mean, it appears to be an effort to either, in some cases, intimidate witnesses from testifying against him, or there have been other reports of sort of inducing people to make statements in his defense. There was some allegation that in one instance this was a statement that he, in essence, dictated or drafted with a woman who made a statement that was attempting to rebut one of the accusers, I believe, in a civil case against him. I mean, witness tampering is bad. The things that Sean Combs is accused of are terrible. He pleads his innocence. The justice system will presumably work its way through.
It is likely that there is some underlying truth to at least some of the allegations. There might be a lot of underlying truth to a lot of the allegations. There's probably some bandwagoning going on. We spoke to an attorney who's for one of the alleged victims of Diddy a few weeks ago. I believe Amber Nomiki and I did, and they said they had calls, they had information, they had people, hundreds of them, come forward. They're not going to represent all of them. They're, which ones have evidence that can be compelling. What are the best cases to bring that? I also saw a story in the New York Post. This is from a week ago about Diddy stuff that I wanted to read the headline of. Woman claims she saw minors dressed as Harajuku Barbies at Sean Diddy Combs' freak-off parties, what he was describing there to Conan so many years ago. Said these were sex-fueled parties with what she initially thought were little people dressed as Japanese Barbies. And she said, this is her talking to TMZ, are those midgets? And she actually thinks they were kids dressed up in sexy.
Oh, gross.
So again, that's just from someone who provided this information to TMZ for a documentary, but pretty disgusting.
It is. No, that's.
Claims he has over 400 more potential cases lined up. You heard that right, 400 more cases. According to Van Arsdale, his center has received a staggering 27,000 calls related to Diddy. And after filtering out prank calls, they believe about 15,000 represent legitimate complaints. This is unprecedented in scale, even for a high-profile celebrity case. And perhaps most disturbing of all?
I think you want somebody who wants to serve, someone eager to serve, because that suggests that person might be inclined toward a celebrity like Diddy. I would also, in this case, I would want men, not because men support abuse, but I could see this being very difficult for women jurors. I would want younger jurors as well. I don't know that older jurors would be good for him.
Do you care where they get their news? Do you care if they go on social media?
I wouldn't care so much about social media. Certainly watching you on Law and Crime would be a real problem. But no, I wouldn't care too much. I mean, in fact, if they were reading the celebrity media, TMZ, Rolling Stone, that might be an encouraging thing for Diddy's counsel.
Now, Ben, according to the court today, they expect preemptory challenges on
Van Arsdale has hinted that other big names could soon be implicated, saying, "The names that we're going to name are names that will shock you." In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to break down everything we know about this missing witness, the mountain of evidence prosecutors have compiled, the failed attempts by Diddy's legal team to suppress crucial video evidence, and what this all means for the future of one of the most powerful figures in music history.
I wasn't willing to do what was expected of me. not talent-wise, but in other areas. It's difficult when you're that young to understand your worth as a woman through the men that I was around, and that was very traumatic. I don't think any of us have healed from that. Diddy would be like, you're not hot anymore, like what happened? You don't have anything, like you don't have any curves. You're looking like you're not looking like, I can't get people to think that you're my good looking person. And there was no Me Too at that time. There was no protecting anyone at that time. You signed a million NDAs and a million contracts that took away all your rights.
And I know you ain't signed it. I know you ain't signed an NDA, clearly. But did he make his artists sign NDAs and people that work for him?
Well, a lot of these rappers, a lot of these industry people, anybody who does business nowadays with the internet, they have NDAs, non-disclosure. That means that if you work for them, you around them, you can't disclose any of the information about them. It's the same thing that he gave to all his artists when he gave them their publishing back. I'm gonna give y'all publishing, but y'all can't talk about Janice Combs, Justin Combs, Sony, Bad Boy, or anything that happened. Y'all can't talk about none of that. But there's some artists that didn't say anything, that didn't sign it, and they able to talk about anything they want to. And I think that's those girls that was, I think Danny Kane. I think a couple of them didn't sign it. And boy, oh boy, they probably gonna go after him too. Cause I heard him, and I'm giving you this, Aubrey. He stood up there and he said in front of a lot of people, we were in the studio, and I said something to him and walked out the studio. He said, yo, I'm gonna drug their ass off and pick them up and pimp them out to my nigga. He said, I'm gonna drug them out. I'm gonna get them all on drugs, and I'm gonna pimp their ass out to my nigga. And I was like, there's somebody kids, and walked out. And it's somebody that heard me. It's somebody that heard me. I mean, well, it's not only somebody that heard me, it's somebody that I know who was in the studio at the time that happened, and I still talk to him today. And we were just talking about that the other day. He done moved back to Indiana. I don't know why. I'm gonna give you that one. He said he was gonna drug them all out and pimp them out.
Stay with me. This is about to get intense. Let's start by digging deeper into this missing witness situation. According to court filings, prosecutors informed Judge Arun Subramanian that they've been unable to locate or contact victim 3 despite numerous attempts. This development couldn't come at a worse time for the prosecution. Jury selection is nearly complete, with opening arguments scheduled for Monday. Legal experts I've spoken with suggest this could significantly impact the strength of the government's case. Former federal prosecutor Sarah Johnson told me, when a key witness disappears before trial, especially in a case involving allegations of witness intimidation,
is that he need to take his counsel advice. Because if he think he's gonna get out of this from the federal government, he out his mind. They in the process of plea bargaining and trying to do a plea bargain session with him, and he not taking it. That's probably why one of the lawyers jumped off the case. Remember Benjamin Bradford, his first lawyer with the Cassie situation? He said, give her the 10 million and make this go away, brother. He ended up giving her 30 million. He's not taking the lawyer's advice. 9 times out of 10, they probably got him a good plea bargain. Yo, listen to me, we can give you 15 years. 10 or 15 years. You do that, you come out, you only have to do like 12, 13. Come out to a halfway house. You still can live some of your life out as a free man. He don't want to hear it. So it is what it is. The federal government do not want to go to court. 9 times out of 10, they want a plea bargain with you. You understand? You accept the plea, you accept the time, you go ahead, you save the government money, you save them time and effort and manpower. If you don't believe that that white guy was a plant, then something is wrong with you. He done sold them enough drug, but they haven't hit him with that charge. They haven't did him with that charge yet, or that we know of. If you don't believe that they're gonna try to hit him with those guns in there, they saving all that for last. The drugs, the guns. They'll do another superseding indictment and add those two up if he don't take the plea. If he don't take the plea bargain to the sex trafficking or whatever, stuff like that, they're gonna say, okay, let's add the guns to it and let's add the drugs to it.
How you feel about Keefe D? He out here crying to come home, man.
Keefe D, I think is a mistravesty of justice that Keefe D is still in jail without a bail, or they're not making his bail low enough for him to go home. For the fact of the matter is that Keefe D was told to say something by a LAPD officer who was writing a book, doing a movie, and making himself rich off of an event that happened in our culture. And that he's in jail because the cops said a lot of these things first.
It creates both practical and perception problems for prosecutors. They lose potentially crucial testimony, and jurors might wonder why the witness isn't appearing. What makes this particularly concerning is that Diddy was specifically charged with witness intimidation in the original indictment. Prosecutors previously claimed he was attempting to influence potential witnesses, even while behind bars. Former FBI agent Robert Miller, who specialized in witness protection for high-profile cases, explained that protecting witnesses in cases involving powerful defendants requires extraordinary measures. These individuals often fear not just physical harm, but also damage to their reputation, career opportunities, and social standing. When you're dealing with someone with the resources and connections of Sean Combs, witnesses may worry about being blacklisted throughout an entire industry. Sources close to the investigation indicate that Victim 3 had provided crucial information about Diddy's alleged criminal enterprise, particularly regarding how his businesses like Bad Boy Entertainment were allegedly used to facilitate trafficking and abuse. Let's talk about what Diddy is actually facing here. He's been charged with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation for prostitution.
The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that...
If convicted, he could be looking at a minimum of 15 years, with the possibility of life imprisonment. The government's case revolves around allegations that Diddy used his businesses and influence.
There is an explosive new lawsuit that I'm going to break down for you, filed by a man named Joseph Manzaro in Florida. And this is actually in Florida federal court. So he is actually identifying himself in this lawsuit. He's not using a pseudonym. And he claims that he is a survivor of human trafficking and sexual exploitation, and more specifically, as outlined in the complaint, quote, plaintiff was drugged, transported against his will, and sexually maimed as a victim of a coercive and organized criminal enterprise beginning in 2015, orchestrated and facilitated by the defendants. The pattern of threats, concealment, manipulation, and psychological coercion persisted for years, extending the statute of limitations under federal tolling doctrines. Now, here is the kicker. Quote, high-profile individuals, including Jacob Arabo, Jay-Z, Gloria Estefan, LeBron James, and Beyonce Knowles Carter, are identified as witnesses due to their presence or knowledge of the events surrounding the freak-off orchestrated by defendant Diddy. Wow. And freak-off, of course, is something that we've heard many times before, both in Combs' criminal case and other civil cases, to describe these prolonged sexual episodes, usually with sex workers. But Manzaro is suing Sean Combs. He is suing a man named Eric Mejias. He is suing Brendan Paul, who's been described in another lawsuit as Sean Combs' drug mule, Emilio Estefan, who is married to pop superstar Gloria Estefan, and Adria English, who filed her own lawsuit against Sean Combs, claiming she too was a victim of sex trafficking. By the way, it's interesting he's not suing these other celebrities that I mentioned, like Jay-Z and Beyonce and Gloria Estefan, possibly because he doesn't believe their alleged liability amounted to a civil claim, but seems to want to call them as witnesses at a trial, although I have to imagine they will do everything in their power to quash any subpoena should this case progress, and we'll talk a little bit more about whether or not it will.
To operate what they describe as a criminal enterprise involving coercion, intimidation, and abuse, both physical and sexual. One of the most damning pieces of evidence is hotel surveillance footage showing Diddy physically assaulting Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway.
The allegations implicate dozens of unidentified witnesses and alleged co-conspirators around the world, and some of the key witnesses to the supposed incidents are dead, basically meaning how can we defend against it? The defense is not even permitted to share the identities of the individuals described in the disclosure letter with Mr. Combs until April 18th, further hampering defense counsel's ability to investigate. Collectively, these new allegations require many months, if not years, to investigate, and if admitted, would require a series of mini-trials certain to double the length of a trial the government originally said would last 3 weeks. So this is an explosive allegation that on its face, I don't know if I necessarily disagree with. If they are bringing in evidence of uncharged conduct, wouldn't the defense have an opportunity to investigate it and challenge it? It seems like they're making a point. So if this evidence is allowed in, there is a chance this could delay the trial significantly. We all know Combs wants to go to trial, but how can he properly defend himself against this in just a few weeks?
This video, which emerged months ago, appears to corroborate claims that Cassie and others have made about Diddy's violent behavior. Diddy's legal team has made multiple attempts to suppress evidence obtained during raids on his properties in Los Angeles and Miami.
Now to Sean Diddy Combs, looking to suppress evidence in his federal trial. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky is back with the story. Good morning again, Aaron.
And to you, Michael. You'll remember federal agents from Homeland Security Investigations were hardly shy when they raided Sean Combs' opulent homes in Los Angeles and Miami, guns drawn. The jailed music mogul now argues those searches and other searches of his iCloud accounts, electronic devices, and New York City hotel room following his arrest were unconstitutional. His lawyers argue evidence obtained through those searches must be suppressed. Diddy's lawyers say the government presented a grossly distorted picture of reality when applying for the search warrants, omitting certain facts and including salacious details from an unnamed producer that were never credible. Combs has pleaded not guilty to racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and prostitution charges. The defense is also arguing here his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, was a willing participant in drug-fueled sex performances called freak-offs, not coerced as prosecutors allege. This latest challenge to his case comes 3 months before trial, and as Combs loses one of his attorneys, Anthony Rico says under no circumstances can he continue to represent Combs. He offered no details about that decision, Robin.
Okay. All right. Thanks to you, Aaron.
They claimed the search warrants weren't properly obtained and that federal agents presented a grossly distorted picture of reality when applying for them. But Judge Subramanian has rejected these arguments, ruling that all the evidence, including what prosecutors have referred to as freak-off tapes and other materials, will be admissible at trial. According to court documents, prosecutors have also introduced additional evidence that may relate to Diddy's alleged behavior with minors, suggesting they're attempting to establish a pattern of abuse. Diddy's defense team has argued that investigating these new allegations would require mini-trials and could significantly delay proceedings. Sources with knowledge of the case say that the prosecution's evidence includes financial records allegedly showing payments to victims and facilitators, electronic communications discussing the coordination of what prosecutors call freak-offs, witness testimony from former employees and associates, physical evidence seized during the raids, including videos, drugs, and weapons. Diddy's defense team appears to be pursuing a risky strategy. According to legal analysts, they're preparing to argue that some of Diddy's past relationships weren't one-sided, suggesting that both parties engaged in problematic behavior. Legal experts have pointed out that this approach could backfire dramatically. As prominent defense attorney Benjamin Chu noted in a recent interview, juries typically don't respond well to strategies that appear to blame victims, especially when there's clear evidence of a power imbalance. Diddy has consistently maintained his innocence, pleading not guilty to all charges. He has reportedly rejected any plea deal offers, choosing instead to take his chances at trial. Meanwhile, the civil side of this legal saga continues to expand at an alarming rate. Attorney Andrew Van Arsdale's revelation about potentially 400-plus additional lawsuits suggests we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. Van Arsdale told reporters, "This is an opportunity victims maybe thought they'd never have. The fact that they see the system working." He added that many potential plaintiffs have remained silent until now due to fears about Diddy's power and influence in the entertainment industry. What's particularly interesting is that these civil cases span decades and involve allegations from both men and women across multiple states. While 2 civil cases have been dropped, one when the plaintiff refused to reveal their identity and another after inconsistencies emerged, the overwhelming majority continue to move forward. Perhaps most concerning for others in the entertainment industry is Van Arsdale's hint that other high-profile figures could soon be implicated. One civil lawsuit has already named several celebrities as potential witnesses to events at Diddy's residences, though it's important to note that being named as a witness doesn't imply wrongdoing. The scale and scope of these allegations against Diddy raise serious questions about power, accountability, and silence in the entertainment industry. Several former artists who worked with Diddy have come forward with their own stories. Former Danity Kane member Aubrey O'Day has publicly discussed what she describes as emotional abuse and control during her time working with Diddy. Another industry figure, known publicly as Gan Deal, has made allegations about Diddy's intentions toward female artists that align with the prosecution's trafficking narrative. Many have drawn parallels to other industry-shaking scandals, noting that the entertainment world has seen multiple reckonings in recent years. However, the Diddy case is unique in its combination of both criminal charges and massive civil litigation. As for what's next, barring any further delays, opening arguments are scheduled for Monday. The trial was initially expected to last about 3 weeks, but with the introduction of additional evidence and the complications surrounding witnesses, legal experts now suggest it could stretch significantly longer. Prosecutors will face the challenge of presenting their case without victim 3, potentially requiring them to restructure portions of their strategy. The defense will likely focus on challenging the credibility of remaining witnesses and contesting the government's characterization of Diddy's businesses as criminal enterprises. For the hundreds of civil plaintiffs, the outcome of this criminal trial could have massive implications. A conviction would likely strengthen their cases, while an acquittal would create additional hurdles, though it wouldn't necessarily prevent them from prevailing in civil court, where the burden of proof is lower. As we've covered today, the Diddy trial represents one of the most significant cases the entertainment industry has ever seen. The combination of serious criminal charges, a mountain of civil litigation, and the involvement of numerous high-profile figures makes this an unprecedented legal situation. The disappearance of Victim 3 adds another layer of complexity to an already complicated case. It raises troubling questions about witness protection and the challenges of prosecuting powerful individuals. Meanwhile, the potential for hundreds of additional civil lawsuits suggests that regardless of the outcome of the criminal trial, the legal repercussions for Diddy could continue for years to come. Former prosecutor Michael Reynolds summed it up this way: "What we're seeing with the Combs case is unlike anything I've encountered in my career. The scope, scale, and high-profile nature of these allegations make this a truly historic legal proceeding. For the music industry specifically, this case may represent a turning point in how power dynamics and behavior behind the scenes are scrutinized and regulated. As this trial begins and more details emerge, we'll continue providing updates and analysis. The testimony expected over the coming weeks could reshape our understanding of one of the most influential figures in modern music history. If you've found this breakdown helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe for more updates, and share this video with anyone who might be interested in understanding this complex and evolving case. Also, I want to hear from you. What aspects of this case do you find most surprising or significant? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next update.